The Fifth Amendment was one of the 10 amendments to the United States Constitution that made up the Bill of Rights. The actual text of the amendment is, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a precedent or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property, without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use, without just compensation." The amendment basically protects 5 of your rights as a civilian. The Fifth Amendment protects your right from a grand jury. The Grand Jury Protection Clause's purpose is to provide a fair method for beginning criminal proceedings against those accused of committing crimes. Another thing the Fifth Amendment protects you from is double jeopardy. Nobody can be charged with the same exact case twice. The Fifth Amendment protects you from self-incrimination. No one can be compelled to testify against themselves in a criminal case. "I plead the Fifth" is a common phrase to help self-incrimination. With the Fifth Amendment, you also have the right to due process. It affords individuals a right to a fair process and a right to enjoy certain fundamental liberties without governmental interference. The last right of the Fifth Amendment is eminent domain. This is basically when the government takes private property, it is required to pay just compensation to the property owner for his or her loss. The social reason for the amendment is to help civilians in many court cases. Without this amendment, many cases may have been very different or may have been on trial again. Although it wasn't originally in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment was added to the United States Constitution in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights. A court case involving the Fifth Amendment was Miranda v. Arizona. Miranda was arrested at his home and taken into custody to a police station where he was identified by the witness. He was then interrogated by 2 police officers for 2 hours, which eventually resulted in a signed or written confession. At trial, the oral and written confessions were presented to the jury. Miranda was found guilty of kidnapping and rape and was sentenced to 20 to 30 years of imprisonment on each count. Miranda's lawyers appeared to the Arizona Supreme Court 6 months later asking the question, was his confession voluntary? The Supreme Court of Arizona held that Miranda's constitutional rights were not violated in obtaining the confession. They had the Fifth Amendment, which protects defendants from being compelled to become witnesses against themselves. Then, in a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court reversed the Arizona Supreme Court decision and declared that Miranda's confession could not be used as evidence. If you go to trial for, let's say, killing your wife and her friend, and you are found not guilty, no matter what happens in the future, for example, you writing a tell-all book about the murder, you could not go to trial again for the same crime of killing your wife and her friend. The answer is true.